we were invited, some of you might know, we were invited by FM World to go to the Lebanon, to go to Beirut in the Lebanon, and do some training. Because in the Lebanon, the distributor partners have grown out of Tupperware, of Virgin V and companies like that, and they're sellers. They don't understand, they didn't understand networking. I hope they do now, because those of you at conference heard that if FM Lebanon fails, it's all on my head. We had 2 days with them, 2 wonderful days, and we had to try and, with our trainings that Bruta and I did, we had to try and get them to see the benefits in the passive income, the networking side of it. And just 2-3 days before we went, I got an email from Mr. Ibrahim, who's the owner of FM Lebanon, and he said, oh, by the way, on the day of our conference, we see and we'd love to hear your stories, but I'd also like you to do a presentation. And the presentation he tasked me with was think, speak and act like an MLM hero. MLM, multi-level marketing, another name for network marketing. And it really, it spooked me, to be perfectly honest. I was a bit surprised because I never sort of thought of network marketing or MLM as being something where you could have a kind of hero connection. Because we're quite typical of ordinary folks, my wife and I, we're ordinary folks. We've grasped the FM opportunity, understood it, and we've run with it, and we've continued to grow with it. But our driving force, and you heard this from the earlier speakers as well, it's always been clear, it's to help as many people as we possibly can along the way to improve their lives, and FM opportunity is just a vehicle to get people there, and we see it as a vehicle. I say it just took me by shock, and I had like literally 3 days to prepare it. So I'm going to share it with you this afternoon. And if that helping other people to grow and to prosper, but to grow in terms of their personal development, in terms of their income, passive income, if this makes us heroes, well, heroes it is. And what you've got to recognise is that in time you will fly. In time you may get to fly in Arthur Travinsky's private jet. And I would love for you to all that. I mean, that is an experience that I never thought possible. It happened, it coincided with my 60th birthday weekend. So you've heard of the stories about not smoking on aeroplanes. But when your chocolate cake arrives and there's this big flaming firework in the top of it, you think, are you supposed to do that in aeroplanes? But then if you own the plane, you know, you can do that, I guess. So, but in time you will fly, each and every one of you will fly. But first you need to create a solid foundation. You need to create your solid foundations. And foundations are actually based on a very, very simple formula. It looks a bit complicated. 4 times C, 4 times K, plus 3 times G. And this is a formula for a solid foundation. And what you need to have is conviction. This is one of the C's. You need to have conviction to the products, to our product line. You need to have conviction to the company and to the marketing plan and ourselves. Those are the convictions that you need. So you've got 4 times C. You've got to have goals. To succeed in this business, in this form of business, you've got to have goals. You've got to have short-term goals, long-term goals, and skills goals. And we've heard about skills today from Gediminas. Vitally important. Learn a skill, practice it. Learn a skill, practice it, and eventually teach it. So you've got to have the 3-time goals. And then, of course, the knowledge. You've got to have knowledge of products, and we've heard a little bit about that today. We've got to have some knowledge of the company, its origins, its connections with DROM. And we've got to have some knowledge of the marketing plan. Now, I didn't understand the marketing plan for 14 months. I've admitted that. I've admitted that on a number of occasions. Some of you here probably still don't understand the marketing plan, but you've got to have some knowledge of it, because if you're going to impart the benefits and the ultimate passive income that can be delivered, you need to kind of understand that stuff. And we've also got to have knowledge of ourselves. We've got to have knowledge of ourselves. And if you look at this, that looks curiously like a Mercedes logo, doesn't it? So there's no, You know, that's not coincidental. This is a very deliberate act. But it's an ever circle. It's constantly revolving, constantly revolving. One feeds off the other of necessity. So that revolving circle, the knowledge, the conviction and the goals. And you've got to revisit these and replenish them and restock them as you proceed. As a hero in the making, and you're all heroes in the making, think of yourselves as that. You are MLM, you are network marketing heroes in the making. You've got to develop the ability to visualize. Now, I'm big on visualization, really big on visualization. It's something that we've practiced in our house. The car, the first Mercedes, we had battles with getting that car. Why? My wife's got a really strange name. She comes from Lithuania, she's blonde, she's a grandma. She had no financial history in the UK. And surprise, surprise, Mercedes corporate went, who? What? Give her finance on a car in excess of £35,000? You're having a laugh, ain't you? So we took a picture of a C-Class Mercedes and we stuck it on our fridge. And our fridge sits right slap bang opposite. When we walk into the kitchen, every day we saw that there. And it was part of our visualization. We still do that today. We've got images on our fridge. You know, we're like big kids, you know, with the letters and all the rest of it. It's there. And it's a constant reminder. It's a constant reminder to us, but visualization, we're very big. We need to visualize big, and we need to train and coach and guide our team to visualize as well. Why? Why FM? Why did you join FM? And remind ourselves of it. And dream those big dreams, because so often, you know, we had a conversation last week. Your dreams get bashed out of you a little bit as you get older. They kind of disappear. The kids, I bet you've got some fantastic dreams, haven't you? I bet you've got some wonderful dreams. But as you get older, you kind of, and the dreams go. But you need to be constantly visualizing them. So what I want you to do is over the next 7 days, visualize for at least 30 minutes, but preferably 60 minutes, 1 whole hour of your whole week. That's all I'm asking you to do. Visualize your why you came to FM, why you've come today. What's it about? Is it about your children's future? Is it about your children's education? Is it about delivering them something in the future? A house on the hill. And what I want you to do is not just visualize it, but actually be specific, really, really specific. What your future smells like, what it looks like. Close your eyes if you have to. Hear those noises, smell those smells. The fabrics that maybe your sofas are going to be, what the wall textures are going to be. Little details like door handles. If your dream is that house on the hill, right down to that kind of detail. Create that image in your mind and visualize it, because when times get tough in this business, as surely they do, it's at those times you need to remind yourself why you started it, why you embarked on this journey in the first place. Yeah? There's a lot of people going, oh my God, he's nuts, he's crazy, he's lost the plot. Trust me, I haven't lost the plot. But then you must do something. If you don't do something, that dream or that visualization, without action, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. There must be an action. There must be a series of actions at the end of it. Because dreams and visualizations are great, but if you don't take some actions, they're actually going to take you nowhere. And this is the car we talked about. This was the one of our visualizations. And yes, it took us 6 months, and we went back, and we weren't having no for an answer. And Anita said, do you know what, Ian? Yeah, I hear what you say about Mercedes Corporate. I got the inside track on Mercedes Corporate. Anal was the word that their own accountant used. Anal. The underwriters are anal about commission-based income. If we had, or if my wife had had a proper job that she could lose next week, or have conveniently had for 3 months and had some little pay slips, they would have signed over the finance tomorrow. But they were anal about people on commission income. They don't understand network marketers. That was our visualization. Then it was, and that was the delivery of the first Mercedes. We weren't about to give up. Took us 6 months, but we got it. We needed a few other motors for the girls. We worked and worked and worked this business. We said, yes, we will do this. We will deliver. And this is it. These were the first 3 of now 5 cars that we had. And this one, some of you have probably seen, it's a bit dirty, it's out in the car park. That's the latest one that arrived last September. But the minute we got in our house that C-Class Mercedes, what was on our fridge? That mother. What's on our fridge now? An ML. Not just an ML, but a 3.5 litre Sportline AMG. That's what's on our fridge now. And that's where we're going. That's where we're going. Because for us, we're a bit older than most of you guys in the room. You know, we've sort of crashed and burned a few times. So we've got certain things in place because of our history. You know, we've got certain things there. But it's like, wow, this will be delivered. This will be delivered free. And we all like free stuff, don't we? We all know someone who likes free stuff. Yeah, of course we do. So visualization, all important. And what I say to you, a lot of you I know read, and I see books being handed out in our trainings, what have you. But don't just limit yourself to reading all those books about people's success in lives. You know, the rags to riches stories. You know, there's thousands of them out there, but don't limit yourself to that. Read novels, read works of fiction, and experience the emotions, experience the feelings, and visualize their content. Try and get yourself inside the head of the writer. The Hobbit, yeah? Harry Potter books, all that kind of stuff. Try and get yourself in there. And MLM heroes, they read lots and lots and lots and lots. We never stop reading, isn't that true? Get a minute to tell you that. Tiago, I know you're a reader. David, we're readers. We read stuff. And I say visualize their content. Get inside the story, get inside the mindset, and visualize every tiny detail, because what that's doing is actually working your mind. It's working your brain. I said today, didn't I? I said to you in the car, come in here, today I'm going to exercise your brain. I'm going to make your brain work so you sleep well tonight. Yeah? That's what I told you. And this is it. Maybe you won't sleep tonight, but you're sure as eggs will sleep tomorrow night. Every tiny detail. Read the work of statesmen, of elders. See what made them tick. What drove them forward. What made them tick. Nelson Mandela, you know, in all the years that he was incarcerated in that awful regime, it was not about fighting the white people, but it was working together in harmony with common goals. Now that kind of sounds a little bit like FM to me, you know, and I'm not over elaborating here. You know, we have a group of people, we have a whole family with common goals, the improvement of lives for everyone. That's our common mission. But all that time Nelson Mandela was banged up, it wasn't about beating the whatsits out of the white guys. It was about some commonality, some harmony. A hero, your first time on the stage. We've seen some people on the stage today. Okay? Now, it doesn't have to be a big, elaborate stage. It can just be, actually, when you're first presenting to 2 or 3 people in your home or in a coffee shop. Your history, again, we've heard about this with Gediminas. Your history, your story, or the story you tell, it must be real and it must relate to real people. Now, early days in your FM journey, you won't necessarily have an awful lot going on, but you can relate to those that you've listened to, that you've heard, that you've spoken with. And if it was a problem going to a meeting, say so. Absolutely say so. If you lacked confidence, say so, because it's a very honest, it's a very human emotion. And say how it was from the start, and you've listened to David again. You know, we don't necessarily rehearse these things. We don't necessarily, you know, I didn't know what David was going to do, and then I was somewhere today, I pulled off the M25 to have a full English, and I got a message from David, oh, I found this, that, and the other. Yeah, go with it. So I didn't know, even then, I had seen David do his presentation, but we don't work this together. So, you know, the truth is, it's very and all-powerful. You know, honest up, and that's the thing. You've really got to do that. And things you've got to remember, and you've seen again today, okay, we've got all this whizzy stuff, but pens and paper. Not everyone's got laptops. Not everybody's got tablets that they can record the whole of the afternoon on. You know, pens and paper are good. You know, they're good, they're honest. not everybody has access to projectors. Now we talk about heroes and fancy suits, and I deliberately dressed up like this. I thought I was just going to have a crack today. I'm going to put a red bow tie on, you know, and look, you know, well, it's sort of broken. It almost matches this, you know. So sometimes the fancy watches, the sharp suits, you know, the Armani suits, they don't necessarily work at all levels. They don't necessarily work at all levels. You know, we've got people in the African nations. You know, we've got people who they have to travel. One of my newer members of my team has to travel 3 hours by bus to go to an internet cafe to hear what I've got to tell him next. So the suits, the watches, great, but they don't necessarily always work. So you've got to adjust your behaviour. If you're a hero, you've got to be a hero at all levels. Relate back to those early experiences, the issues, the fears that you had, because most people will have felt exactly the same. And if they hear it from you, and what did you hear from Gediminas today? The 3 Fs. We love the 3 Fs, don't we? The feel, the felt, the found. Whenever you get an objection, whenever you feel that there's a barrier going up, when you're listening to people and talking to people and sharing the opportunity, you must know how they feel. You felt the same, but what you found out was. And your story has got to always include that. And it's very honest, Now, as a leader and a successful sponsor on your journey to being a hero, you need to understand other people's visions, their visions. Yours, you put them aside. They are totally not important. They are so not important. It is what they want. It's what their vision is most important, not yours. You set yours aside. You've got to do that. And anything that you do or say or demonstrate, it has to appear to be possible. Now, I know, listening to Gediminas when he was a young boy, 2 or 3 years ago, when he joined with FM, you know, he'd heard all these stories about $1 million earners. And he challenged that very thing. Oh, yeah, okay, so show me one. Well, you could be the first. No, that's not good enough. You know, what you demonstrate, what you talk about has got to appear to be possible. Old school network marketers, and I'm not one of them. I mean, I've only been a network marketer for how many? 6.5 years? 6.5 years. I didn't even know what network marketing was before that. I got no idea. I thought it was some American cult when I first heard about it. But I used to, you know, it was all smoke and mirrors, you know, and there was a term used in the industry, and I can remember one of my very early meetings I went to in Wolverhampton, where I was dragged there screaming and kicking as a driver, and I kind of sat there with my earphones and my music, really not interested. And I pulled one out, and I remember seeing this guy up there, and I thought, you're full of shit. You are, I was sworn on a Sunday again. Oh my God. You know, and it was faking it till they made it. And you knew that he was so full of that stuff that he was never going to make it. But that was the old style. David, I'm sure, had experience of this in, you know, because David's sort of a seasoned veteran in the network marketing industry. Yeah, and that was the thing, fake it till you make it. So the other thing you've got to remember is that every one of us has our own mind, our own perceptions and our own vision. Now, if I said to you, Pam, what's a long distance? A long distance in your mind. You've travelled today, how far? About 40 miles. About 40 miles. So is that a long distance or is that a short distance?
No, that's an average distance.
An average distance. So that's an average distance. Gediminas, when you were in Russia, how far do those guys travel to come and listen to you?
5,000 kilometres.
About 5,000 kilometres. And they didn't think that was very far. Now, they knew they were going to listen to the governor. They were prepared for it. So 5,000 kilometres didn't seem very far. We've got an average down here. So, you know, money. What's a lot of money? $1 million. $1 million's a lot of money. 2 million. Any of us on 2 million? 10 million. Okay. Right. Okay. You know, I was a director of a company when I was 32. It was a voluntary company. It was called the Federation of Small Businesses. Back then, 28 million was considered to be quite a lot of money. Nowadays, you talk about a 28 million pound company, you know, it's not even on the top top 1,000, top 2,000 companies. So, you know, different people have different perceptions and different visions, and that's why I say you've got to put yours aside, you've got to understand theirs and where they're coming from. Right, just going to click, yeah. Believe that the dots will join up. That's interesting, isn't it? Anybody ever listen to Steve Jobs? No? No, okay. You need to. Steve Jobs, Harvard University. Listen to him talk. Listen to him talk about Apple and how it all happened. What you've got to believe is that when you've turned left in life, when you should have turned right, and we've all done it, haven't we? Yeah, and sometimes we turn twice left and we should have gone right and then taken a U-turn. We've all done it. You must believe that in time, with hindsight and reflection back, the dots will join up. Who would have thought that a butcher's apprentice who left school prematurely, who somehow managed to qualify as a town planner some years later and then have a town planning consultancy, would end up as a network marketer with the FM group? Looking back, it was all there, but you didn't see it at the time. You've got to believe that the dots will join up. They will join up in time for each and every one of you if they haven't already started to do so. Another thing you've got to remember is you can't be a prophet in your own village. You know, people know you, where you live, the group you're in, the village, the street, the district. Where we live, you know, Castle Road Village. We call it Castle Road Village in Bedford. And it is like a village. And, you know, and they laughed. They laughed 6 or 7 years ago. They laughed. You know, dodgy part-time business thing. You're an architect. You're a world-renowned, famous beauty therapist. You know, specialising in permanent makeup. You're an architect. You've got an architects and planning consultancy. They laughed because we were just, you know, we were just Mr. and Mrs. down the road. You know, you cannot be a prophet in your own village because you're Louise. You know, you're good old so and so, and they've known you and they've seen you crash and burn. So then when you start talking about all this stuff, it's like, come on, you're having a laugh, aren't you? So sometimes you need to bring in external authority, or you need to relay stories of those that you've heard and seen and you know to be factual. So that's when we say you cannot be a prophet in your own village. You need external authority to edify others. Great example today, yesterday, Tiago phoned me up. Yeah. He said, look, I've got this situation, I've got a lady in Bedford, got her through a lead through Facebook, da-da-da-da-da. Can I bring you in on a three-way call? What did I say? Of course you can. I'll be back to you in 5 minutes. He connected the call with this prospect. He then brought me into the call, introduced me, said, look, this guy's done the stuff. This guy's done the stuff. And he lives in the same town as you. He probably lives a few streets away from you. I then had the conversation with the lady in question. Tiago listened in. Tiago then wrapped it up, having sought external authority. We've got a meeting. I've got a meeting with this lady on Tuesday on Tiago's behalf. You know, he's based out of Milton Keynes. He's got stuff he's got to get on with. This woman lives a few streets away from me. And she will join under Tiago. So it's about getting external authority. And we need to edify people. You'll have seen today, you know, when I've introduced people, I've introduced them. I've kind of bigged them up. Now that doesn't happen by chance. That's a very deliberate action. And wherever you're in life, you will see that will happen. You edify people. You congratulate people. You know, you compliment people. It's all part of the edification process. This is what MLM heroes do. It's part and parcel of the process. And you have to learn it, and you have to practice it, and you have to teach it. Remember that FM, it's not easy, but it works. And it works if you work and if your team works. It's not easy, you know. It's not easy. It takes time. And as Gediminas said earlier on, there's people who say, oh yeah, I want to make $5,000, I'm going to put 3 hours a week in. Hello, you work 60 hours a week, you know, and you go home with £1,200 at the end of the month. Get real. But it does work, but you and your team have got to work. Motivation, again, You see, we didn't script any of this. I had not a clue what you were going to say. Yeah?
That I did before I stood up over there.
You should practice it.
I didn't. I know.
Motivation isn't always about pounds. It's not always about the money. It's not about the cars. It's not about the holidays. You heard this here from Aldra. You heard that. Cars, holidays, it's that what if I lose my job? If you've got an income that's coming, no matter how big or small it is, but it's coming consistently, it's improving, you know, that's something, that's motivation in itself. Sometimes it's just the satisfaction of a job well done. The ability to become independent, you know, to fire your boss. How good would that feel for those of you who've got jobs? You walk in and you go, "You're fired!" And they go, "You're mad," and say, "You're still fired." I mean, that really... but sometimes it's just a thank you. You know, motivation is just sometimes... How many people in a job, and I'm sure many of you had a job, if you're not in a job at the moment, when do you normally see your line manager or your governor? When you've dropped I nearly swore again. When you've dropped a clanger at work and you get taken into the office and you get a dressing down. That's usually the way it works, isn't it? That's what most people experience. But if you go, "Do you know what? I've been watching you." You know, "Ooh, hang on, the governor's been watching me." "You're doing a great job. Thank you." You know, that in itself is worth a pay rise. You know, so just that thank you, a simple word could be enough for somebody just to, he does know who I am. You know, there's people, we all do the social media stuff. We like. Do you know what a like is like? It's a like. You make a comment, you make a compliment. That person thinks, oh, they do know who I am. They do notice. And people do notice. But it's important that you show that. You know, there's lots of examples on it. So, moving on. Right. Regularly revisit that solid foundation. You remember them? What were they? What was the equation? Someone shout it out from the notes.
4C times 3D times 4K, something like that.
Well, that one there.
4C.
Okay. Remember, the conviction, the goals, and the knowledge. The C's, the G's, and the K's. Remember those and revisit it regularly. But what you've got to be careful of is conviction. Conviction, it's a bit like a roller coaster. Because if people enter into our business and they have conviction, but they don't have knowledge and they don't have skills, that's when the image of network marketing, that's when it suffers, that's when it gets tarnished. Conviction is great, but without the skill set, without the knowledge set, it can be incredibly bad and it can be actually ultimately very, very destructive. So keep your guard up for that one. You know, we've all got people, woo, 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 but hang on, learn a bit of stuff, you know, come to meetings, train a bit, learn a bit. Conviction and trust. Most people, and thus most people joining with a network marketing opportunity, when they're faced with a 300, I put this in dollars because this was in the Lebanon, and they use Lebanese pounds, but they relate everything to American dollars. So most people, if you think of that as a £300 prize, they're going to fight for it. If there's a prize to be had, the natural instinct of most people who are not engaged with network marketing is to fight for it. Now that number could be 30, it could be 300, it could be 3,000. It doesn't matter. The natural instinct in people is to fight for it. But, given the right foundations that you guys are the recipients of in network marketing, you have a very, very different story. And what it is, it's one for you, one for you, one for you, one for you. We are going to succeed together. We are unified in this. We are all going to share this cake. So when you get your mind tuned in properly to network marketing and you adopt all this learning, that's your approach to life. You're not fighting for that money. It's about sharing it because you know the pot can and is and will continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Habits. Anybody in the room not got a bad habit? I won't ask you what it is, unless you particularly want to share it with the audience. It's better and easier to replace or modify a bad habit than create a new one. Now that's a statement, it's backed by evidence, it's a psychological thing. It is much better and it's easier to modify what you've got, perhaps a bad habit, or replace it rather than create new ones. To succeed in a business, this business built on trust, you need to speak up. You need to speak up about this business. You must be singing like that little canary. You must be like that. Dip, 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 dip. Your life is, what's your life? Fantastic. Whatever goes on at home, behind those closed doors, your FM life must be fantastic at the very, very worst. We've all got stuff. I'm no different to anyone else. We've all got stuff. You know, I could be a raging alcoholic, a manic depressive at home. No one would necessarily know. I'm not, thank God. But, wondering, but, so you've got to speak up. Everything in your FM world is great. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. It's marvellous. Don't use the bad word. When someone says, how you going? How's that little old part-time perfume business thing? Don't go, not too bad. You've used a bad word. Don't use the bad words. Everything, minimum, fantastic. What can we layer onto fantastic? A few examples. Awesome. That's a great word. I love awesome. I used to think it was terribly American. Now I think awesome. I love that word. Yeah. So show respect. And by that I mean, you know, be respectful of other people's opinion. And what the experience I've had in network marketing is that there's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of jealousy for those who have done it, those who have demonstrated they've done it. And again, it's a very human trait, it's a very national trait. And I notice, and we're blessed with the team that Bruce and I head up with Team Be Famous particularly, but I hear it and I see it, and I see it in other networks as well, where there's kind of a lack of respect for those who've actually done and delivered. And you really have got to show respect, you know, and it goes back to this edification, this congratulation of, you know, this complimentary of. So that's all interlinked. Play with open cards, you know, and when we say play with open cards, we mean be open, you know, don't kind of put smoke and mirrors around what you've got, you know, be absolutely honest, totally frank with it. Make sure that everybody knows the realities in there. Fix errors. If something's wrong, fix it. Don't make excuses. Don't fudge around the edges. You don't fix it. Go about to fix it, because you will then command far more respect for having fixed it. You know, I really don't know the answer, but I'll find someone who does and we'll fix it. You know, so fix errors. It's vital that you do that. Be loyal. And this is a real thorny one in network marketing, because a lot of people try to do multi-networking. And to be frank and to be brutally honest, and I say bearing in mind I'm a relative newcomer, it's an impossible juggle. Now I don't mind and I don't care who in the room may or may not be doing other networks, but it's very, very difficult to judge. So when I say be loyal to that which is really working for you. And if it's not FM, you know, work with whatever it is that you've got that is really working for you, because you're just spreading yourself like the margarine, far too thin. Be loyal, because again, it comes back to this trust. We're in a business of trust. You know, people are placing their trust in you. And if suddenly it's like, oh, this is gone, and this is the one, and this is the one, they're going, well, hang on. You know, we said all that good stuff about helping people and changing lives, and you've now come along with this other thing and you want me to sign up to that, and they're going to be thinking, well, what's coming next week? What's coming next month? And you lose the trust and you lose the respect. And in a business based on persons, on people, on trust and loyalty, you're going to fail. And you're going to fail, and then you're going to blame the deliveries, you're going to blame the marketing plan, you're going to blame everybody except your damn selves. And you're the only one that you're accountable to yourself. So loyalty is a very, very vital important. We've had all sorts of stuff thrown at us in our time with FM. All sorts of stuff. And yeah, we've had a look and you must be having a laugh. You know, no. And we've had our fair share of butterflies who've been flitting around and they've flown off into the sun and they've burnt out. So loyalty, very big thing. Achieve results, lead by example, walk the walk. Don't just talk the talk, actually do the business. Now that might be doing the business, it might be going to trainings, it might be galvanizing people to go to training. You know, actually achieve right. Lead by that example. You guys have shown up here on a Sunday afternoon for very good reasons. You know, and you should congratulate yourselves on doing that. Doesn't make any difference to me. I will do this business. I will succeed in this business with or without you. Understand that. It sounds harsh and you know, I'm not really that harsh, but that's the harsh reality. But lead by example. You know, if there's training, get people along there. You know, if they see you there, if they see you popping up on Facebook, they go, oh, I've missed out on something. And when you're buzzing in the week, who posts frogs? Who's listened to me before? And who posts frogs? Who eats frogs in the room? Any frog eaters in the room?
I eat them, but I don't post
You don't post them. Post them.
Okay.
It will make people, what's that frog about? And then they'll come and ask you and you'll say, well, actually, duh, okay? Shape the attitude of responsibility. Ooh, that's a scary sentence, isn't it, Ian? Amongst your team members, when you get people to engage with you, to join you and to join FM World, you know, get them to take responsibility for what they've got. We have in our hands, you know, a fantastic opportunity, a life-changing opportunity. Take responsibility for it. Take ownership of it. It's your business. Each and every one of you have got a micro business. So shape the attitude of responsibility. Take, you know, accountability for yourself. Little tips, and we've heard about it again today from Gediminas. When you're talking to prospects, listen. Listen, listen, listen. Now, we've seen it all before. Why do we think we've got two of these and one of these? But this one, it won't shut up sometimes, won't it? It's like, shut up, you tell, and it won't. But you need to listen. You need to listen to what people are sharing with you, the concerns, what they're saying, and you need then to process it in your mind. And you say, if I understand you correctly, what you're looking for is this, over this period of time, to deliver this. And they go, wow, there's a little thing in their head that says, this guy's actually listened to me. He's understanding me. I want to be with this person. So listen, but then, you know, repeat back to them, if I understand you correctly, you are looking for this in this time frame to achieve this, with this being the end game. Okay? Keep to your commitments. Someone else mentioned that this afternoon, didn't they? Or was it this morning? Gediminas always talks in the morning. You know, if you say you're going to do something, then we'll do it. Don't make excuses. You know, get back to that person, even if it's, I've had one today. I'm in a training right now. I will speak to you this evening. Will I speak to that person this evening? You know damn well I will. You know, if you make a commitment to do something, get on and do it. Don't look for every excuse and every barrier that you can possibly find to not do it. Keep to your commitments. This was the biggest hurdle for me in this game. Biggest hurdle. I am renowned as being a benevolent dictator. Mussolini's got nothing on me. Absolutely nothing on me. This was the biggie, to trust in others, to delegate. Because you can only do one thing, you know, you can only do so much as an individual. You've got to learn to trust in others. You've got to trust in yourself that you've trained them, or that you've signposted them to training, or you've got them to training enough for them to delegate. That's why we bring people from the back of the room to the front of the room over a period of time. Because if we're going to grow, you can imagine, I bet you don't even know how many people are in your team at the moment, do you? Roughly how many in your team? Roughly. To the nearest 100. About 6,000. About 6,000. I think you'll probably find it's actually a bit more than that, but yeah. But, you know, you cannot service 6,000 people. You can't humanly ring them up. You can deal with a certain number of people, but you've got to trust in them. You've got to trust in yourself that you've delivered a message that is duplicatable. Because if not, you're going to mess yourself up. You know, so delegation, real toughie for me. I've got there eventually. With your team, with the people that you bring into the business, form a contract of cooperation. Sounds very highbrow. It doesn't have to be a written contract, but form a contract of cooperation. It's about making and agreeing a level of understanding between the two of you. How many people in this room have constantly gone back to someone who's then come up with another excuse? You keep bashing back, you keep bashing back, you keep bashing back. So, part of your contract with your new team members is, if I call you X number of times, in Poland they say twice. We're a bit British, aren't we? I mean, we kind of, when you come to the UK, you kind of get that kind of like Britishness about, yeah, well, okay. So we're gonna chill out a bit. We'll say 3 times. But if you contact someone 3 times and they don't come back to you, they're roadkill. They don't exist on your planet. Yeah? But agree that in advance. If I ring you 3 times and you don't respond, I've forgotten about you. You're history. I don't know who you are. Because you need to be moving forward all the time. Agree. Don't expect them to answer the phone when they're eating. And likewise, you don't expect that. So it's setting up some guides, and it's called a contract of cooperation. The Poles are very, very big on this. The Polish trainers are very, very big on this. And it works because we see huge success on that. We'll communicate with each other. Now, some people like to communicate by Facebook. Some people like to communicate by text. Other people like talking to people. Other people like to use the phone. Agree between you and your team members, the people that you bring into the business. Agree how you're going to communicate with them. 2 years ago, a little story I tell. 2 years ago, I had someone, it was a little over 2 years ago now, said, you didn't respond to my message. So I got my phone out and I went through the text. I said, well, I didn't get anything from you. No, Facebook message. I went, Facebook message? What the hell was that? I was on Facebook, but I didn't know about Facebook messaging. So agree how you're going to communicate. Some people prefer email. Some people, young people particularly. What's that? Oh, it's the camera pipping. Young people particularly, I notice, and young people, to me, young people is anybody under 55 years of age. They like to text. And I can't read War and Peace on a text. So I get a text and I pick up the phone and I ring them and they're shocked because they're waiting for a text reply. So, but set up how you're going to communicate, because then you have a level, you're not suddenly thinking, oh, I've not heard from them. Maybe it's Facebook. So agree those kind of things. That always helps. And agree that there's going to be certain times, there's going to be certain blackout periods. And it may be, we don't tend to ring people, our English people, on a, thank you. We don't tend to ring our English people on a Sunday or after 9 o'clock in the evening. It's a very English thing, isn't it? Very terribly English. Except those who've given us consent to do so. I say to my wife, don't text a reply now, it's 11:15 at night. You're going to be bombarded with text till midnight now if you respond to it. So manage your thing. You know, Russians, Lithuanians, it doesn't matter. 24 hours a day, you know, they're always awake anyway. Huh? Easy going. I don't know how you stay awake so late. It's just like, maybe it's the vodka fuel, I don't know. But, you know, if there are sort of blackout periods where you don't want to be disturbed or they don't, agree it. It's dead simple to agree it. And at any time, you've got to have a mutual understanding, a respect for each other, that we can cease communicating. Because stuff happens, doesn't it? We've all got stuff, we've all had stuff. And you have to respect each other in that sense. So we can, at any time, stop communicating. So again, this forms part of a contract. But in this particular area here, if you, as many of you do, I know, if you kind of agree forward targets, goals, whether it's goals for training, for skills, or for volume points or business, and it doesn't happen, you need to understand each other. If that happens, or suddenly I don't hear from you, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to leave you alone? Pretend you don't exist? You're dead and buried. Or do you want me to remind you of why? So again, get that understanding, get that agreement between you. It takes a few minutes. This little talk here is taking much longer than it is to get that contract of cooperation. So you respect this to cease communications, but it's like, if I don't contact you, if I'm not meeting things that we've agreed, what do they want you to do? Leave them alone or remind them? And how many times do you want me to be reminded? Agree that you're going to use FM products and that they will use FM products. Now that might sound totally bizarre, but there's a lot of people in this FM business that still haven't gotten onto the idea that one of the key parts of success is actually consume FM products. Use them because it makes your life so much easier. So it might be, particularly early days with new people, that you have this, well, you and I will both use FM products and we will recommend them to others because that's what network marketing is about. If you're going to have a commitment sheet, if you're going to have a 90-day plan, I know different people, different groups work with these things. If you're going to have contact lists, chicken lists, goals, etc., and there's an agreement to send it and respond to it. You know, get them to send it to you and respond to it. Yes. A chicken list. A chicken list. Okay. A chicken list. In short, you know, you've got a list, haven't you? You've got a contact list. We've done that stuff with you. You've been part of that. Okay. Now, there's certain people on there, like maybe a doctor or a dentist or, you know, a high court barrister. Those are probably on your chicken list. You're frightened. You're chicken scared of ringing them. Yeah? In case they say no. Now, those are the guys you should be ringing first. Those are the frogs that you should be eating early. So if you've got these things, get an agreement that you're going to send them, that you're going to actually exchange them. Because then there's very visual, very tangible evidence of, yes, this person is doing what we have agreed by way of a contract of cooperation to succeed together united. So that's what a chicken list is. Make it clear that you will do this business with them. I will do it with you, but I will not do it for you. There's too many mother geese in this business. They flap around like mother goose, and then they wonder why suddenly people aren't successful. They featherbed them far too much. So why a contract of cooperation? It sets up boundaries. It sets up the rules and an understanding which you and every team member that you have operate under. And that spills down. So that's why you have a contract of cooperation. But what it does also, it gives both parties, I've already suggested, it gives both of you a point of reference, a memory. Why? Why did we agree these? And do you remember when we agreed this, that we said this, this and this? So why are you now buggering about? I sworn again on a Sunday. Shocking, isn't it? Well, I'm sure you are, yes. Look out for that thunderbolt. And this is an expression, and it prepares your people for when you go home. What's that about, Ian, I ask you? Well, when you go home, that's a bit scary, isn't it? The greatest gift you're going to give people is independence. Independence in this business. You're going to signpost them, or you're going to train them, coach them, teach them, get them to practice. And you're going to do that until their wings are dry. And when their wings are dry, you go home. You leave them and you see them develop. You're like mum and dad, you know. You're like goddad and godmum. You're always going to be around, but you prepare them for that moment when you go home, off they go. So prepare them for that. You know, I'm going to be with you until I've given you this greatest gift, independence. Everybody recognises that, surely, that independence is the greatest gift you can give anybody. Your children, those of you who had children, those of you who got children to come. Independence. If you give those children independence as early as you possibly can, it will cost you a few quid along the line. Of course it will do. But that is the greatest gift you will ever give them. So, your homework this week. Reflect and understand that to succeed, you must remember to share and unify in one vision. Share and unify in one vision. Okay, we've all got different visions, we've all got different aspirations, but share and unify in that. And don't take not good team members. They will bleed you to death. They're like vampires. I know it sounds harsh, but this is based on, this is based on experience. And I've made all the mistakes that you have made, and we will all continue to make them. And it's very easy to say, it's less easy to do. But don't take the not good team members. Don't keep bashing them around the head and flogging them to death, because you'll get that old horse all the way to the water and still the damn thing won't drink. It just won't happen. Okay? Remember that people will make excuses. They think they're reasons. They're excuses, that's all they are. Remember that people will make judgments. Of course they're going to make judgments. We are judgmental by very nature. Remember these things. What you need to remember is that a team is made up of a group of people who teamed up, who actually teamed up and formed a united front. Understand that to succeed you must remember that a great leader, a hero, as in this case, knows when to stand back, when to actually step back, let them fly, stand back and delegate. That's what a great leader, a hero, is going to actually do. And take time. If you're going to be a hero, take time to practice. You know, practice, practice, practice. You will get better. Practice in front of the mirror. Talk to the dog. Our dogs think I'm nuts. They think I'm absolutely crazy. But, you know, practice. I've got other pastimes where I have to practice. My family think I'm crackers because they hear me muttering because I'm not allowed to tell them what I'm actually reading.
Dogs are good listeners.
Dogs are great listeners. And remember that leadership, and therefore heroes, they spring from the most unlikely of places. You don't really know until you really get under the skin of people and actually really get to know them. You know, you've all got them in there. They may not have actually developed themselves sufficiently at this moment, but they're all there. And they do come from the most unusual places. On another occasion, we'll do a little thing about a guy, blind climber, who led an expedition, or was part of an expedition up Mount Everest. And some of you may have heard me talk about it a couple of years ago. And the leaders there came from the most unusual places. Remember and reflect that a team has the power to make it, but it's equally got the power to lose it. It can be very, very destructive. And if you get negativity in your Facebook groups, stamp it out. Get rid of that person. Then go back to say, I removed you because, you know. So as a team, you can make it or you can lose it. And success is always achieved way in advance. And it's achieved remembering your why you took up network marketing, why you joined with FM. Not just that, you know, you were dragged there screaming and kicking by your other half or your best mate, or just to get rid of that damn person, as David said earlier. You know, remember your why by pre-planning. You know, you pre-plan and you practice, certain things will happen. And practice. Practice again, as we say, the formula. That 4 times C, 4 times K, 3 times G. That's the formula.